You didn't hit the 30
Shit.
seconds.
So we'll just talk for 30 seconds. I don't know what happened. Dang, son of a
No, we
gun.
live. Just jump on in.
We are
And
live. We are
yeah.
live. I'm gonna go to the places. Do you want to do some introduction tonight while I go to places, or you want me to do introduction?
Sure.
Okay, you go
Welcome to
ahead.
Free Thinkers. All those who are far and near and wide and narrow. Um, you've reached another episode. Make sure you join the stream yard. It should be posted in Free Thinkers. Just click on the link. By the way, on a side note, I know change can be difficult at times, but actually getting onto StreamYard is actually easier than getting into Zoom.
You
So
think
if you've
so?
never, oh yeah, it is.
Okay.
You don't have to have the pass. This you just click on it and jump
Yeah.
in. So
Right. You don't have to
it's
enter
really
anything else
easier.
once you're in.
Right. Now I still have a debate on there's certain elements I like about Zoom better than StreamYard and vice versa. But actually logging in and being a part of the show is very easy. StreamYard is the easiest thing you can do. Click on the link and enter the studio. That's it. So
Literally.
tonight we're going to be talking about whatever you want to talk about because we have Pick Your Post. And speaking of Pick Your Post, this is one of my favorite sessions of Pick Your Post because oftentimes I am not able to comment on everything that I see on the Free Thinkers page in the as much as I want to. There's sometimes you know what? So sometimes there's a topic that's, and I'm gonna get into the rules and all that in a second, okay? So sometimes there's conversations that's so interesting that me trying to write out a message just won't do it justice. It's one of those things that you really need to have a verbal conversation and talk about. So with that being said, keep on posting on Free Thinkers, and over the course of this show, we're going to talk about what posts stuck out to you. So keep in mind, Free Thinkers is a show dedicated for people who are striving to think more freely, have wide range perspectives, so forth. So we're not here to bash anyone, but when you get on the show or if you listen to this show, we will challenge opinions. We don't challenge people, but we challenge opinions. Make sure if you haven't joined the YouTube that you do that. Make sure you subscribe. If you hear this and you haven't subscribed, then that means I'm talking to you. Also, you know, my partner as well as others, we use a wide variety of language.
He said my partner as well as others. Shots fired! Shots fired!
Primarily my partner. So keep in mind whenever you're watching this, language, if language is something that you're concerned about, be mindful of that. And also we talk about very acute subject matter as well. So sometimes a certain subject matter is a little bit spicy for you. Keep in mind, we go there. Outside of that, we usually shut this down around 9:30, between 9:30 and 10. So we just ask that you come in, speak your mind, be mindful of everyone's opinion. We will respectfully challenge every opinion, and we're here to have a good time. So is there anything that I left out, Nikki?
No, just join our YouTube channel if you haven't done that. I don't know. I don't know if I divided my attention well enough between looking for links and what you were saying. But if you haven't joined us over on our YouTube channel, please do. It's Free Thinkers Worldwide. That is, freethinkers ... worldwide. So 2 words in there. Because we do try to move a lot of our content. Well, we are moving a lot of our content over to the YouTube channel as well. In the event, of course, one day something happens with YouTube or me or something and we can't get on here, YouTube is definitely the way to go. Don't have a TikTok channel yet. And then just subscribe and share. We love doing this thing every Tuesday night. I a couple weeks ago you mentioned doing like a follow party or like a membership party, and I'm actually like really looking forward to that. I think that's going to be really cool. I've actually had some really decent conversation with some folks over the last week since our last show about what Free Thinkers is, and it's really cool to see brand new subscribers come to the show and they watch their first episode, not knowing what to expect, I don't think at all. And we'll follow up with, damn, y'all have a really good thing going on there. And we obviously think so too. Otherwise we wouldn't still be doing this. But we do want to grow and grow and grow. So joining our pages, we're not going to spam you with stuff. I mean, you get the weekly notification, and and now unless you've actually joined on a show or participated heavily in the comment section, I don't usually tag people that are on it. So but oftentimes when people are on the show, I will tag you. So of course it comes up on your personal page, but you don't get like mega spammed or anything like that by joining any of our pages. But it does help us grow. It helps the powers that be look at our stuff and be like, oh, okay, well, people like these people, so let's pay them a little bit of attention. So we're not begging for likes because we just like to beg for likes. We're asking for your support. And it's something as simple as hitting the join, hitting the subscribe, and then always sharing these things,
And let me say also, there's a difference. I learned this a while when I was doing music back with Blue. There's a difference between you wanting to expand because you want to get your numbers and your viewership and your followership up. But even with Blue, when we'd be outside in the parking lot selling CDs and doing, just running the hustle, it wasn't about money. It wasn't about just trying to get numbers and popularity. I really felt that we had music and a message that people needed to hear.
Right.
And I thought it was fresh. I thought it was different.
Right.
I'm like, this is hidden gems and jewels right there that people don't know about. So my focus was different. So with that being said, I'm also talking about Free Thinkers. Yeah, it ain't even about, well, we want this followership. I see the garbage conversations that go on social media. I really feel I have a passion that these type of conversations that we have are needed, and they need to be heard. They need to be experienced. People need to hear this in order to open up their minds as well. I really, it takes a life of its own. It ain't really about numbers because I said this a while ago. I don't want to grow the wrong way. I wouldn't want to get numbers built up, but the content isn't right. And that's even why I'm glad we stayed a little bit small when we switched over to the social media platform.
Right.
Because we were kind of small when we were in the basement. But that's the way you kind of built that camaraderie. That's how you build real conversations. And that's why people are kind of amazed, like, well, y'all really go. Yeah, we practiced that over time, and we've built trust, and we've built kind of rules and standards on how we go about talking at ish. So this ain't nothing that just happened overnight. But anyway, my whole point is this is something that I think is really beneficial, especially nowadays when I see people's voice being snatched away every single day. Some people realize it, some people don't. But I'm like, you losing your voice because groupthink has you paralyzed to speak your mind and speak your opinion. But anyway,
I believe that. I do. And there's just something, for me, there's just something different about, the conversations that we have here and those that contribute to those conversations. Just the willingness to be a deep thinker, and that's kind of one of the ways that I explain to people what this is too. I'm like, you take the word free thinker and you let that be whatever you think it is, but it's for people who like to have deep conversations because, one thing I realize is some people don't. Some people are just kind of like surface level conversationalists. They don't really dig very deep. They don't want to dig very deep. They're not really interested in what your thoughts or perspectives are, and that's fine. You can do whatever you want,
and truthfully, there's not a lot of places that you have the space to express yourself like that.
I think that too. And it's funny that you say that because like the last 2 nights I've been really, really strongly just kind of playing with this idea or just kind of just marinating on this idea of creating some type of grief loss support group. Because I get so many people, and I'll try to talk about this without crying, but I wasn't even going to talk about it. But I get so many people who message me at the most randomest times of day, people that I'm not necessarily very close with, people that I do engage with on social media, or even maybe some that I've known for a long time, but not that, any that I would know your absolute personal business sometimes. And twice this week I've had people reach out to me and say, I fucking need help. Like, how do I get through this? They just lost their parent a couple months ago, or just lost a child recently, or just, you know, having a really hard time with going through just what the fuck is my life's purpose anymore. And so I've been thinking about that the last couple of days, and I'm like, I don't want to facilitate a support group meeting. I don't want to facilitate the boundaries that are required to be maintained in a support group of something that is so intense like grief. But at the same time, it's so necessary. And I was like, what we do here, nobody identifies as anything other than just people who want to have conversations. Some of us may identify in our personal worlds as healers, or as sources of light, or as guides or mentors, or, sponsors, just things that, a person that has helped other people be guided a certain direction. And I think that a lot of what we do here is that too. Just the ability to have these super vulnerable conversations, to sometimes completely put ourselves out there. Sometimes in conversations where we weren't even prepared to put ourselves out there, but the shit just came out the way that it did. But still be able to maintain a room and maintain, kind of staying on topic.
Right.
It almost made me feel like, well, if we can do this, I could do that, and just as neat, is just as necessary as this is for me and a lot of other people. Like, support about grief is also very, necessary for a lot of people. And I think a lot of us just kind of have come to Free Thinkers as our Tuesday night outlet, but have just gained so much more. And I mean, for me, it's certainly been a part of my healing journey. There is no doubt about that. And you can't, you, you just can't underestimate the power of um, strong connections and powerful conversations and words that are said at a time where you don't even know you needed to hear it, but somebody said it and you're just like, oh my God, you're fucking talking to me, And somehow in that, somewhere, something grew,
Right.
and it was just something that needed to be heard at that particular moment.
Right.
And
Expression is a form of healing.
yeah, yeah, absolutely. So I love the feedback that people, have certainly given me, when we do these shows, because like I've said before, just when you think that like you might not be reaching anybody, somebody's been touched. Somebody's been reached.
Oh yeah. No, I
And it's
learned that a while ago. And
yeah.
what I learned, it will be, I'll periodically I'll get somebody hit me up about something that I did or we did 6 or 7 months ago.
Mm,
And I was like, wow.
yeah, and it's like,
I was like,
wow,
I
yeah.
forgot about that. They're like, yeah, you
Right.
was talking about this and this and that. And I'm like, damn,
Yep.
that was middle of last year. But so this, the
Yeah.
conversations are timeless. So, it's
They
good to just put
are.
it out there and it'll hit when it needs to hit.
I agree. I
Like
agree.
Picasso. I know Picasso,
Picasso.
he wasn't that famous when he was alive. Van Gogh wasn't that famous when he was
Yeah, until
alive.
they died, huh?
So
And
sometimes you
and
don't know
you
when
say
it's gonna
that
hit.
too. You say that like you trying to leave a legacy for your children. And I'm like, yeah, me too. At the end of the day, my kids will one day hear these and be like, damn, that's my mama.
Think about
Just what she stood for.
Nipsey Hussle and MO3. A lot of people knew Nipsey, but a whole lot of people didn't. And
Right.
then after I didn't really, I ain't follow Nipsey like that. But
Right.
then after he died, I was like, oh shoot, this dude was dope.
Yeah, somebody to definitely admire if
Mo
you're gonna be
three, I ain't know
admiring
nothing about Mo
anybody.
3. And then you listen to him now, you hearing them everywhere. Like it's like,
Mm.
so
Mm-hmm.
your legacy
Mm-hmm.
will follow
It
you.
will.
You leave
It
it there.
absolutely will. Yeah, and this is definitely a digital copy of of Legacy. So and and there's I listen to every show the minute we're done. I listen to it at least once that night. Sometimes I listen to it twice if it's not a really long one. But I usually listen to the show at least 2 or 3 times before I'm like, okay, I've heard what I needed to hear. Um, I don't think there's maybe 1% of shows that we do where I I watch later feeling like, oh, I shouldn't have said, or like I regret saying,
Right.
or
Right.
and that's not to say that that's not to say that I don't say things that other people might not like, but I pretty much stand by, the stuff that comes out of my mouth. I absolutely stand by the stuff that comes out of my mouth on here, um, and I think that's just the greatest part about this whole entire thing is like you learn with time, uh, who it's a good fit for, and sometimes you learn who it's not the right time for.
And let
Um,
me say this also. This is something else that I learned. I've learned to be willing to speak in my ignorance. A lot of people will, if they are ignorant about something or they're insecure about what's going to come out of their mouth, they won't speak it, or they'll play the
mhm,
safe route and they'll say what everybody else is saying or
mhm,
what's publicly popular to say at that time.
mhm.
But you don't learn like that and you don't grow. So it's okay for me to have a stance on, certain issues 6 months from now, and then maybe 2 or 3 months, I might change my mind. But what
Mhm.
gave me the ability to change my mind is speaking in my truth where I am.
Right.
Even if I am short-sighted or ignorant, yeah, I'm going to
Right.
express these things because I understand that I'm in a journey and a process. And where I
Right.
am now is not where I'm going to be 3 or 4 years
No,
from
this
now.
is not my final destination.
Right. So I'm okay
No.
with being wrong. I'm okay with being
Right.
whatever you want to call it because I'm looking
Right.
to grow. I'm looking for you to prove me wrong. I'm looking for you to show me something that I'm not currently seeing.
Right.
So, yeah.
Yeah, please give me perspective.
Right.
Like somebody had mentioned on the page this week. Um, it's just basically something like women don't listen. Women don't listen to men.
All right,
Like
we
it was.
jumping in. We jumping in. Hold on.
Well, I
Is
mean,
this your first one?
I guess since I guess we
All right,
can,
let's
right?
go. Let's go and jump in. Which one you said? Which
um,
one is it? Who
there's been
posted
a
it?
lot of relational topics that have been posted lately. So it was one of the ones that I think I posted, and I'm not quite sure which one it was on, but I want to say I know me and Jules and Trey and um oh, there was a couple people involved in this conversation. I don't even remember the freaking topic of it. But in the comment section it was said that women don't listen. That,
Oh, in the comment section. All right,
yeah, that basically women
I
just
ain't gonna find
don't listen. And I said,
You got to find
I
which
think
post
that
that is so we can discuss it.
it's a super general statement, right? That women don't listen. And I'm always bothered by the
Generally, it's
all
true.
men, the all women. But I think that everybody doesn't listen to a certain extent when it comes to partner dynamics. I mean, there's just some things that you're just not gonna fucking hear, some things you are gonna hear. But like genuinely, if you're in a committed relationship and your partner is speaking to you and they need for you to hear them, I'm not saying everybody's listening, but you ought to be fucking listening to your partner if your partner is communicating with you what they need you to hear them
Okay,
say.
I'm gonna give
And
you
so when
my
this
piece.
was said on the post, I was like, some of us do listen. And that's what
Let
I
me give
love
you my
about.
general opinion.
Well, but
Generally,
hold
okay,
on.
go
But that's what
ahead.
I
Go
like
ahead.
about this, though, is because I mean I know you're just trying to give your opinion, but hold on, I was still talking. But like we do listen to y'all, and that's one of the things that I actually fucking love the most about this show is that I listen to y'all men so much.
Don't
Just
say
what you
I.
say,
Don't say I. We're talking general.
but I can't
Don't
speak
use
for
your
them.
stuff as the.
I can't speak for other women, but I know I'm not the only damn woman
You can
who
speak in
listens to you
general.
men speak and really learns from the things that you guys talk about or hears what y'all say. Now, your perspective when you said you with
Number
your
one, when
perspective on
someone
this.
no, okay. Number one, when somebody makes a general statement,
Yeah,
then address the statement generally. Don't turn around and be
right.
like, "Well, I don't do that." Well, maybe it probably wasn't talking about you.
No, it was like women don't listen. Well, that's like
I
all lives
said
mattering
generally.
things. You can't do that.
You
I just
can generalize. Generalizing has its place.
no. See, maybe this is where I have a challenge from, because I'm not saying I am any more spectacular than the next woman, but
You just say you listen more than.
I don't do a lot of things that a lot of other women do when it comes to these general things that you guys talk about, like not listening to your partner. Man,
Okay.
I want you to tell me what you want. I want you to communicate with me.
All right, let me give you my opinion.
Okay, and I'm going to go to the page and
Generally,
see if I can find it. Go ahead.
and I'm speaking generally, and it's going to be short. Women don't listen, especially relationally, and when there's a conversation and an argument. Oftentimes, women don't listen. Now, men oftentimes they do listen, but they will ignore certain things that's said because they're trying to win an argument. So even when a woman explains herself, like, you heard what she said, you know that makes sense. But if they're in winning an argument mode and I need to win this argument, then they'll overlook certain things to fit their agenda of being right for the sake of an argument. I'm not saying either is right.
Right,
because
that doesn't sound very good either.
About women, no, it's not. It's terrible. But what I said about women, and I've had these experiences, but I ain't gonna speak to myself. But a lot of times, how many times I'll say this? I don't know how many people that you talk to, singular couples or whatever. I could be having a conversation and I may observe something from a woman or from an aspect of a person's relationship. Mm-hmm. And I'll point it out. And the man will be in the background like, I told her that 6 times already. She just don't. Oh my! And either they're gonna be like, I'm saying the same, you saying the same thing that I've been saying, or they'll actually get upset. And I got upset one time because I was with a counselor, and we was at a counseling session, and the counselor literally starts saying the same stuff that I've been telling her for the last I don't know how long. And she was over here like, I'm like, this mother. I tell you this all the time. You don't hear a word I say. This person, you don't even know their middle name, and they say it, and you over here like, oh, okay, I get it. Like, but that's the way it works. So in those instances, that's a lot of time we be like, y'all don't listen, or you don't listen to me, and that could be a part of it, because a lot of times, depending on who it comes from, then people will tend to dismiss a statement if they just ain't feeling you. Right.
I can see that too.
Now, I was speaking in generalities, so that's not for everybody, but I was speaking in general terms.
Yeah, I don't know. I think generalizing things is unfair. Like I do. I don't.
American way. That's the way. I just think,
but it's not accurate. I think it lends for an attitude. But it lends for an attitude of throwing everybody in, one category, and that's not how shit works. And that's how things and people, places, and things end up getting bad names and energy attached to things, because everybody's like, oh, all men. I had this conversation last night. I was like, I'm not one of those all men cheat, all men are dogs, all men this, all like that's like ridiculous, foolish to think like that, to lump everybody into one category. Like, so to say, oh, women don't listen, or men don't this, or women don't this, and men don't this, like, obviously some fucking do. Like,
so you don't believe stereotypes have their place? There's no place for stereotypes.
I mean, I guess I don't want to say that, because I'd have to look at some other examples of. I think maybe everything is case by case situation, but I also
don't. You agreeing with me then? Stereotypes is just another way of generalizing.
Yeah, but give me some idea of it. Give me another stereotype question.
Asian people can't drive.
I mean, I don't know. Can Asian people drive? I don't know a lot of Asian people. I've never driven in Asia. I ain't never drove around a bunch of Asian people.
I've seen a lot of Asians.
Look, I have an Asian friend, and he's been stealing cars since high school, so that motherfucker can drive. But other than that, I don't know a lot of Asians to be able to say that.
Tokyo drifting. But yeah,
no, I don't know that.
But not only that, if you go to, and I haven't been to Asia, but if you go to certain countries in Central America, other places, if you see the way their roads, the disorganization of the way their traffic system and their roads are set up, then you get it. Is in some of the places just like a free fall.
I know they
Get
take
there,
no
however you
kind of
get there, whatever
signs, no
side of
kind
the
of nothing.
all of that. I'll
Yeah.
be like, oh man.
Mm-hmm.
So then in certain instances you get it.
Yeah.
Um
I mean, I don't know. I think maybe
okay, so let me say this.
stereotypes are not good.
Let me say another bad one.
Okay.
Black people don't tip.
That's
You ain't never heard
horrible.
that one?
Of course, I've heard it. Thankfully,
Okay.
all of my black friends, thankfully,
So
all of my black friends, and that's lots of them. They're
now
all very good tippers.
let
They're
me
all very
tell
good
you
tippers.
something. And let me make everybody mad at the same time.
Oh
It was
shit.
about for maybe a year and a half. I was a delivery driver for Papa John's.
Okay.
And probably it took me all of about a month and a half, 2 months before it ended up coming. I was like, black people do not tip. God, I get on my nerve.
But
It was just, I did it enough in my experience. They wasn't tipping. I'm like, y'all don't believe in tipping. What's wrong with y'all? They
But some
felt like
people
the little
don't. But some people
delivery fee
aren't. But
added
some
on
people
top of
aren't
that
going to
was
deliver. Some people aren't going to tip the pizza delivery person because they figure, like, whether it's known or not known, that, oh well, you're getting paid by your pizza people,
I
like you're
know,
literally
but this is
just
what
bringing
I'm
a
saying.
pizza. But
I
like,
was delivering to everybody, blacks,
right.
white,
Versus
Hispanics,
though, if
Asians.
you were working in a restaurant, would your experience, do you think, still be that black people don't tip? If it was
No.
restaurant based service versus a pizza delivery service, because some people might be trying to be cheap on a pizza. You know what I'm saying?
So
Versus in a restaurant
why
could be
was the
totally
white people
different.
tipping in?
Well, I mean, if you had different experiences with tipping growing up, like that's just what your norm is. Like,
Right. And I'm definitely not saying all black people don't tip because
of
I know better
course,
than that. But
right?
what I
Because
am
we're
saying
not
is
doing that.
there was a stereotype that was out there, and I was
Yeah.
put in the position to test out that stereotype. And a great portion of it. Now I'm saying that no black people tip. No, but I'm saying out of the large sample size of what I got,
Mm-hmm.
more than not, it was black people who were skimpy on the tips.
Damn.
That was the facts. You sideways, Nikki. Uh-oh. Might have lost Nikki. She already told me she was having some battery problems. So, if you don't know already, feel free to join us. Go to the StreamYard link. I don't know if she want to keep talking about this when she comes back in, but I'm going to keep going down this thread. I wish, see, and this is the other thing about StreamYard versus Zoom. It's harder for me to introduce or let you see the screen for the memes that I'm talking about or the post. But I'm going to have to I'm just have to tell you, and then you can go to Freethinkers and look and comment on it yourself, or you can comment on here as well. So, okay. Now this is a good one. Nikki posted this one yesterday. So Dame Dash, this is a post by Dame Dash or about Dame Dash. Thinks YouTube should stop paying people to make diss songs to cut down the violence. And he quote unquote, it will cut down the negative algorithm. We need a positive algorithm. So in a nutshell, he's saying stop paying for people who make diss songs, violent stuff, negative stuff with negative energy. Cut down that. You cut down the algorithms. People is going to affect money, and people ultimately will stop promoting that type of entertainment and music. So it's two things. In theory, he's right. And morally, I think that that's a good idea because there's definitely things that I want to see to discourage people from trying to profit off of pain and violence, especially when it comes to Black people, our culture, our struggle. It seems like everything is in bounds. The more violent you are, the more plays you get, the more attention that you get. I don't like that. And there's definitely, I would love to see record labels Or let me say this, I would love to see people go after these record labels. If you're an independent artist, I would love to see people boycott artists who speak about killing and murder and violence. I would love to see that become a cancel culture thing, to say, no, we don't want to glorify this type of behavior. Now, this is the flip side, and this is the part that I have issue with Damon Dash about. From a principle standpoint, I have a thing about freedom of speech, censorship, and things associated with that. You want to be careful how you decide to suppress free speech in the form of censorship, cutting down algorithms. And you say, well, no, people still have freedom of speech. You got the freedom to speak whatever you want. But when you have media manipulation and you have machines that don't allow you to freely speak in the same type of way, then it is a form of suppression. It is a form of censorship. You got to be careful about that. And then furthermore, let me say this. When he say YouTube should stop paying people who's going to make the decisions with YouTube on what qualifies as a diss song or what qualifies as something that's violent? See, Tupac did a lot of songs that were violent. Hit 'Em Up was a violent song. But he also did songs, Letter to the President, Brenda's Got a Baby, that talked about rape and murder. You know what I'm saying? So where's the line draw? Who decides what's violent or what's inappropriate material? Because just because something is violent, that doesn't mean that it's not telling a story in a certain context that people need to hear. Even as much as people had issues with NWA, I thought, in my young mind, living where I lived, I thought that they were glorifying violence. And some might say that NWA did glorify violence. But what they also did, they brought to light what was going on in South Central LA. And it was so crazy because people thought, oh, they're just embellishing. It seems like that to us because we're not actually living it. So there's certain music, there's certain things that need to be highlighted because it brings even a certain level of awareness that we didn't have before. And then you realize once you saw Rodney King, you've seen they just wasn't making this up. It really does happen. And then the invent of the smartphone, you start seeing it more often. You're like, oh, they really wasn't making this up. This really does happen often all over the country. So my whole point is with that, you want to be careful how you want to be careful what you deem inappropriate or censorship, and who are you going to allow to tell you what's inappropriate? That's dangerous. I don't want some exec high up telling us from what we shouldn't listen to. It was this thing. I tell you, this was something that before I even attempted to be wokish, this is something that bothered me to my core about 15, maybe 20 years ago, maybe around that time. In little pockets of the country in different areas, I would hear people talking about banning or making it against the law for people to wear sagging underwear, sagging, the saggy jeans thing. And people would, they start trying to, it's one thing if you don't like it, but the moment you try to put it in the law to say, we want to make it illegal for someone to have their pants sagging, that is an issue. Now you've put the power for white people, and see, and this is the problem, because there was a lot of older black people who was co-signing on this mess. And I'm like, y'all don't understand. Just because that's not your fashion preference, and you don't like to see people's boxers and stuff hanging out in their pants sagging, yeah, you don't like it. It's kind of maybe tacky. It's kind of, that's something that you don't want to see. But you want to give the power for white men to legislate, ticket, arrest, frisk, pull over, all of this stuff based off of a fashion preference. When meanwhile, you can go to California and Texas and people walking around halfway naked with no shirts on and no, hardly, they can walk around in Speedos or thongs, but nothing's wrong with that. You got to be careful the type of language that you use, and when you allow people to unappropriately, what's the word? Not prospect, profile your children. And that's what the people were doing. I'm like, you got to be crazy. Don't ever do anything like that. But anyway, Stokely, I was talking about I don't know if you saw on there, Dame Dash was talking about YouTube should stop paying people to make diss songs to cut down on violence, and basically saying, doing things in a way that will discourage people from making negative music. So I talked about, there's a certain element I believe I agree with, but there's other elements. I'm very much a stickler for free speech. Yes. I don't like censorship, and you got to be careful. It's a slippery slope.
Yes, it is.
You have something in your mind of what you think that should look like, but then once you put that power in people's hand, they have a different idea of what that looks like, and it turns into something else. What do you think about that?
You're right. The censorship part of it is, I'm totally against that. Because when you start doing it, you made a good point earlier, when you start doing that with one thing or one situation or one group of people or whatever, then it kind of can snowball into other things. Here we are, we're sitting here today. Today, me and some people were talking about the abortion issue. That's just the tip of the iceberg. Mm-hmm. When you start controlling what women can and cannot do with their bodies,
right?
What's next? Here, I was having the conversation. I'm trying to remember part of it, but you have people that totally agree with they're pro-life. Well, you can be pro-life, but not have the control of everybody else's bodies.
Right. Exactly.
Be pro-life.
Right.
But and you mentioned the sagging pants. I mention this a lot when I'm talking to younger people, in Dallas especially, because Dallas PD has a big thing. When you ride around in your car and it's sitting on 22s, I have no problem with you riding around in your car. I have no problem with you riding around in your car with 22s and your music bumping and whatever you want to do, and your pants sagging and so on and so forth. But in Dallas, it seems to be you become a mark.
Right.
And that could lead to other things. And we know, look at you, Nikki.
It's Fat Tuesday. It's Fat Tuesday.
It is. I forgot. Happy Fat Tuesday, everybody.
I'm going to have to make a kitchen run downstairs real quick.
Yeah, but yeah, it is.
But Stokely, okay, but that's what I'm saying, Stokely. It's a difference between, they're going to profile you regardless. And there's certain things you do to open yourself up to be profiled. But it's a whole different thing when we give them license to profile us. And when you try to put something in the books and say, well, if your rims is this big of size, or if your tint is too dark, or if your pants are sagging, you're giving them license to profile us. And that's stuff that we should all stay away from, even if it ain't your thing. So, all right, you don't like slabs. You don't like slabs. You don't like saggy jeans. You don't like the way women wear their stuff like that. Be careful of the power you give the government to legislate, and that's the dangerous part. Just because you don't like it don't mean you should try to use the law.
Everybody,
No, that's the wrong way to go.
But here
especially when it brings the law into your fucking house, per se. And that's honestly the last people that you really want on your shit. I mean, really and truly.
Right. Well, we see it all the time, and that's where the I hate to use this word, the name Karens come from. They want to put these people in your life because they know historically the harm that these people will do to you for a law that, or a rule or whatever it is that they've tried to put in place. I'm going to use Barbecue Becky for the example because these cats was out there on Lake, I believe it was Lake Michigan. I can't remember exactly. Just barbecuing.
Yeah.
And here she is, but that is,
well, she was Karen too. They should have. So you know what it is, Stokely.
Oh, I know.
You in your 20s is Becky, 30s and 40s is Karen, and 50s is Susan.
Right.
50s and up is Susan.
Oh my God! But there used to be back before all this stuff. There was an Abigail. Don't be an Abigail.
Abigail.
Really? I hadn't heard that.
Yeah, it's historically. I was listening to
actually.
somebody say it the other day. They were telling through the times, there's always been that person.
I like the name Karen. I'm sticking. I think that one needs to stick forever.
Oh, that's not going anywhere. Everybody's gonna forever know what a Karen is. Like,
don't be a Karen. Yeah, you don't know what it is.
Shame on you.
Oh.
If you're watching this show, shame on you. First of all, if you're a fucking Karen, I'll be the first one to tell you, shame on you. I don't know how you got here. Maybe you can learn some shit while you stick around a little bit, but
man, Nikki, I wish your name was Karen so bad. That would have been so funny. All these years, I just would have had a joke on hand at all times.
Oh my goodness!
What's your middle name, Nikki?
Karen.
Karen.
No.
Nicole Karen.
Karen.
No. My shit it ain't Karen, it ain't Becky, it ain't Brenda, it ain't Abigail. It ain't none of them. Susan, that's none of them.
Oh my goodness.
Okay. Did you have any thoughts on that, Nikki? Or you about to jump?
You were talking about the Dame Dash one about
yes.
Well, so refresh to me what his statement was so that I'm totally accurate on what I'm saying.
So his statement was, Dame Dash thinks YouTube should stop paying people when they make diss songs to cut down the violence. And this is the quotation marks. It will cut down the negative algorithm. We need a positive algorithm. I hate algorithms altogether. I think that's
the fact that we even have algorithms
trash
to begin with.
It's crazy, yes. I can't seem to get beyond them jokers. They catch me at every turn.
I know.
I'm like, dang.
I mean, this is where the slope gets slippery. And I didn't hear any of what you said because I'm running around scrambling, trying to find a fucking device to be able to log into it. So I missed everything that you said. I apologize.
Well, I definitely talked about slippery slope. Go ahead.
Okay. I think it is a slippery slope because this is where freedom of speech comes into play, right? So, I mean, these artists can say whatever they want to say. We have the power to choose what we do and don't want to listen to. I don't think that holding YouTube accountable for this is YouTube's job per se, but YouTube is also very particular about what they do and don't put their money behind too. Like they won't share things that are flat earth. They won't share things they try to restrict things that are flat earth. They try to restrict things that are anti-vax. So YouTube themselves as a vessel for information controls information to their likings. So
but it's their platform to do that. I mean,
and I guess they can, right? They can. So I don't think that holding them accountable for this is going to be the solution. This like in a helping profession, this is pretty much what we call putting a fucking blanket on top of something. Like you're not getting to the root of the problem. The root isn't even the fact that these places are providing this vessel for the information or the music to be shared. It's the content that's written. It's who's writing it. It's why the fuck is it even having to be written to begin with? So let's get to the root of the problem so we can
that's my second favorite word is root.
Yeah.
The second favorite word in English language is root.
Because it means everything. If you understand what a root is, what a root does.
I was going to ask you that.
The fucking tree is just a symptom. The roots is the problem.
You can't clip off a branch and think that you are solving a problem.
Right.
And I've written it so many times. I've said it so many times. Get to the root of the problem because people never want to have the topic or discuss the actual problem. They're discussing the symptoms and the aftermath or what happens after.
And the problem's never going to be solved. So
Never.
Stokely Q, this kind of so the reason I asked you to clarify what the quote was because just a couple weeks ago, right, we had something posted about women not
right?
Women not like dancing to music,
Right.
women not like enjoying music that has derogatory language about women in it.
I'm okay with that.
Which part?
And let me tell you why.
Okay, with
First
which
of all,
part?
before I get to that side note, what's your third favorite word, Stokely?
You know what? I don't even know if I really have one. It used to be love, but you know, love is so broad.
Oh, he found some.
Oh,
I did. You know, it's just so broad. But balance has always been my number one word because without it, you can't have anything else. If you're
you're unbalanced, if you're not balanced, it's one or the other.
Right.
You're balanced or unbalanced.
Right.
There's no in between.
Okay, I found it. So let me say this real quick. I'm looking at it right now, but let me tell you why this is the difference for me. Because it said Neo says if women want male artists to stop calling them derogatory names, then they should stop dancing to the records. Now, let me tell you why I disagree with the two versus that one. One, in the instance with YouTube, you're asking some exec somewhere that's not even a part of the culture to decide what's acceptable and what's not acceptable.
Mm-hmm.
You shouldn't want anybody speaking on behalf of our culture.
Right.
In this instance that Neo was talking about, these are people who actually participate in the music, in the culture, who are saying, no, we don't appreciate this type of music. We're not going to listen to it. We're going to speak against that type of music. So it's a difference because you're actually getting the pushback from the people who actually listen to the music to say, no, we don't want this music. That's the difference.
Right. Nikki, my brain is going right now.
I mean, ultimately, yes, that's how you stop things is the flow of money. Ultimately. And I have said that about, almost everything. And it is the root of a lot of why things flourish or why things don't. So yes, if collectively we decided that, we're not going to put our money and our support, because money is support, whether you like it or not. If you're putting out money for something, you are supporting it. So no, I'm not going to put my money behind this type of artist or this type of verbiage or this type of, whatever the case may be. Eventually, if enough people said no and enough money was lost, then yes, things would have to be looked at differently. So ultimately the answer, I think, is yes. But the problem, of course, for some people is, a man telling us this, or, why can't we dance to these things? I mean, hell, you could have a great booty twerk bounce beat, but it doesn't have to say bitch, hoe, slut, and every other derogatory word. But if you're okay with that, that's fine. But ultimately, yes, that sends a message. When you stop putting money in somebody's pocket by way of streaming, by way of dancing to it, by way of having a DJ play it, by way of, when you stop your flow of money into that, and if enough people do it, that ripple effect is going to be felt. That would send a fucking message. Absolutely.
Now, like the movie Chirac, which I didn't care much. Well, it was, it was kind of a musical or whatever. But the whole premise was, until y'all stop fighting with these gang wars, then we cutting y'all off. The women was like, we cutting you off. No sex for anybody until y'all work this out. So you got to hit them where it hurt.
It'll do it.
Now, the other thing that I say, if you're going to do that type of stuff, you got to be committed all the way. You got to commit to
all the way in.
You do.
You got to be all the way in. That's why Too Short can get away with it. He's committed.
Yes, and has been since he was a kid.
They're like whatever.
Yeah,
right.
But see, that's the thing is,
you can't be sometime. You gotta be
like, I can't just walk into a room and say all that.
Nope.
No. That just wouldn't be a good look.
Yeah. You get nothing.
I can't either. Whatever you do, you got to be committed.
Committed fully.
But what's funny is, who can? A woman can.
But see,
a woman can.
Was it Tahashi Coates that said, he was doing a seminar, and the girl stood up and said, this white girl stood up in the audience of 250 people and said, "Why can't we say the N word?" And he said, "Whoa. And he broke it down. He says, "I can't walk in the room, and I know my wife and her sorrows sit up there all the time, and be like, bitch, you crazy, you tripping."
That was the best explanation I ever heard.
Listen to me and my
and he said, furthermore, I don't want to say it.
I don't. Why do you want to say it?
So if you want to say that word, and you always, then you got to ask yourself, what is it about that you want to say that?
But I'll say this: those that want to say it, they're not fully committed. So when they do get all their shit pushed back for saying it in the company of the wrong person, they shouldn't even be shocked. Right. Did you see the man in the Applebee's or whatever, where he was with his wife standing next to the bar, and the brother walked up and he said something. The brother slapped the man probably 72 times.
Oh no, he said 72.
And I just don't understand. You know what's going to happen. I'm no fighter any longer because I'm old now, but I will still give it my best if someone walks up to me and says it to me.
He slapped him repeatedly.
I missed that.
How'd you miss that?
I don't know. I missed all that.
It went viral.
I don't like that type of stuff.
I don't either. But the thing about it was,
but since it was open hand, I'm like, he was just whooping him like he was
Q. That's bad. That video.
If you come out of line on something, like
he whooped him like
that video went viral by the third slap. I'm serious.
So wait, and this isn't the Arizona.
Like he was in an orphanage.
This isn't the Arizona. This isn't the Arizona T dude, is it?
No.
Okay, because I posted him yesterday for February's edition of Black History Month. I said, "Shall we enjoy this together?"
This is okay, Stokely. So let me ask you about this while we're jumping around a little bit.
Okay.
But I do have an issue with that. Like, are you that easily triggered? Like there's to some degree, it's like that. To me, let me say it like this: it makes you weak if you have such an easy trigger every single time, and somebody can just easily trigger you. And once somebody can easily trigger you, then you also put yourself in danger.
Or susceptible to other things.
Let that go two or three times. It's just like, all right, well, yeah. I'm just gonna call him the N-word as soon as he come up on me. I'm gonna shoot him because I know how he responds.
Right. I understand.
And then I can say it's justified. It was self-defense. He slapped me. That's the same way that they did with the guy. You don't know Stokely, but in Austin, the guy Garrett. Remember the white guy who was down there? And they was interviewing him literally at the protest. They was interviewing him.
I remember hearing about that. Yes,
like an hour or two before that, and he was walking with the protesters.
His wife is in a wheelchair, or something, right?
And she's a black woman.
Yes.
And he had the long gun on him at the protest.
But they knew that, and that was an absolute hit. That
was absolutely a
plowed through some traffic right in front of where he was at because they knew he was going to go up to see what happened. And soon as he walked, he wasn't even pointing the gun at him, but just the fact that you got the rifle in your hand, you running toward my car, that's all the justification I need to say it was self-defense.
Right. See, I get it. I don't know that the word triggers me in that way. I don't like to see, I'm not for the violence thing. I always talk crazy, but I'm definitely not. But it doesn't trigger me. It's just like in my mind, I'm saying, like you said, why would you want to say it? You know the historical presence of the word, you know what it means, and you know that, and not everybody has the I'm gonna let you make it gene.
Hello, not every day anyway. Catch somebody on the wrong day.
Some people will go to the ends of the earth to destroy you for saying words have weight, and we know that. Yep. And that's one of those words that I don't care. You just shouldn't say it. Right. Now, if I'm sitting around and my boys are sitting around and they say it and all that, and then Bobby White Sox walks up into the room and says, "Hey, what's up?" In words, then I'm gonna have a problem. I'm gonna have a problem.
White Sox gonna get his ass toe up.
See, that's why I'm a little bit crazy. Like if that old man would have said that, I would have kept egging them on. I'm like, really? The niggas do what? And I would have tried to get him to say it like 20 times, just pull my little phone out to the side, record them, and I would have really.
Damn.
Now you say you talking about the niggers or the niggas? Which one you
Right,
talking about?
right,
And I just want to see them. I want to get to the depths of your soul. How deep does this hate go? I want to find out.
And see, clearly after that third slap, he wasn't fully committed. He just wasn't. All the commitment had been beaten out his ass at that point after that third strike across the dome. And that's how you find out. A lot of times I remember we were matter of fact, it's Fat Tuesday, and when we were kids, we had some cousins, the Carter part of our family lived in New Orleans. So we went down to New Orleans and went to Mardi Gras. Our parents took us with our cousins, and we were younger. And back in the day, they used to give you these bamboo sticks with these rubber tips on them so you could put them on the side of the float and they'd drop beads down. And this man told my older sister twice. He pushed her stick off the float, said, "Move your stick, nigger." And he did it two times.
You wouldn't have got past the first one with me.
My dad said, "If you bring your ass off the back," that man started taking off. You know how they wear the costumes and the robes and all that mess on the cruise. But anyway, before his foot got off of that float to touch the ground, my dad had jumped up there and just knocked his ass out. The man totally did like this. Yeah, bam, hit the ground. So long story short, from a young age, I just knew that, I didn't know what the word meant, but I knew that some people just shouldn't be saying it, and that you just, why do you want to say it?
And that's just it. For what fucking purpose? For what? Why? You don't need
to get under your skin, like you said. To get under your skin, like you said.
Just the fact that you even want to ask that question, man, go fucking drink antifreeze. For real. Just do us all a favor and just rid
that's
yourself
the part
from our
of
existence,
it,
so we don't have to deal with your fucking energy and your off-bred children, or
Man.
But also, no offense, Nikki, but
I don't know why you do that.
Oh my goodness.
White people typically they which black people can learn something from white people when it comes to that, but white people they grow up with a different sense of entitlement that we have.
Yes.
Yeah, for sure.
So then it's like, how come I can't do it?
Yeah.
I'm a air breathing American. I can do whatever I want to. It's a free country, and damn it, I'm free. I can do what I want to. How come I can't? And how you gonna tell me I can't do it?
That's
right.
such fucking.
But black people
too.
we don't grow up with that type of mindset.
Right.
So even that type of stuff, it's foreign to us to just feel dignified to do and say whatever we want to.
Right.
Well, I mean, a few weeks ago, somebody brought up that the boy that killed them people, affluenza. Remember the kid that wrecked his truck and killed him?
Dylan Couch Kid.
Yes.
Yeah.
So, and even after he killed 4 people, his family nor him had any remorse for doing so. And his family's money was able to, that's the privilege that white people wield. You don't even have to be rich. You just have to be white. That's it.
Yeah.
Oh my God, Jesus. Okay. Slight pivot. Did y'all? I don't think anybody really responded on this, but Ivory Adams put a post, and you got to watch the video because I think I
watched a few seconds of it. The supremacy
how
one.
strong white supremacy is in the world, and you had all of these different news people and anchors, and they were like talking the most racist stuff ever.
Oh yeah.
It was like, this is unbelievable because this isn't Afghanistan or South America. This is actually happening to blue-eyed Europeans. Like This is like they were shocked. Like, no, this can happen to everybody else, but this ain't supposed to happen to us.
Right. This was and one of them apologized. He says, "I'm gonna have to be very careful with my words here."
And he still didn't stop saying it though. He said, "I gotta be careful."
I'm like,
I gotta go back and watch the video because I did not.
I'm like, if you still said it right.
But see, those are those unconscious biases.
Because it's like, so what? Who gonna say something? What's gonna happen to me if I say it? Right. If you was about to say something about some Jewish people, then he just wouldn't have said it. He'd have refrained from it.
Right.
But yeah, since it's about us, then this is brown
That
people.
was so
We ain't
crazy.
got no say. So I was watching all, and it was like multiple ones.
Yes.
And they was just like, how could white people be doing harm to other European white people?
Isn't that something?
That's literally what they were saying.
I know that's basically
But they would use the comparison of this
brown people. This happens with brown people.
But these are Christian. These are good Christian people.
Oh.
I was like,
Damn, this is all the video I reposted.
Yes,
I need to go back and watch
it. And
yeah.
times
they were talking about it on.
It was talking so greasy. I was like, this is
my
incredible.
gosh! Yeah,
I don't get shocked often, but I was shocked behind that one.
Wow.
I don't either. Now that you mentioned that, Q, I don't get shocked.
Caucasity.
It's the caucasity. I mean, it is unbelievable. Some of the things, again, I'm the only darky. They call me Sparky at work. I don't want y'all call me Sparky.
Shut your mouth.
No, they don't.
Pretty close.
Yeah. They call me Nigel. No, I'm teasing. They don't. But anyway, the thing about it is, I hear a lot of things, and I'm never shocked. I do. Nick, you'd have heard some of the shit I say, and I had to dial it back at work a little bit because I'm not trying to be fired, and I'm not trying to get them fired, and everything else. But the thing about it is, they say things just like those news people were saying. I mean, it's like, and I have to check them. I'd be like, hold on. We got one guy who thinks he's a Viking. He's been a Viking. He likes to bring up the topic of like race and history and all, and it's in my wheelhouse. So I'm like, okay, if this dude don't look like the whitest of white people, and he very well be Native American, right, Viking, and something else he always claims. But yeah, he's the main one. He'll say things that are so like, wow. And that's about what I do, is like, wow, you don't realize what you just said. And he doesn't. And there's so many of them that don't. And that's what happened on the news the clip that Q's talking about. When you say, I have to choose my words carefully before you say everything wrong.
You didn't even choose it.
You
proceed to not be careful.
Right. You just go reckless anyway, I don't know.
Okay, so Denise says Stokely be at work going off. Every episode Stokely tells about going off on his
He sure do. Sometimes I'll be wondering how the fuck you got a job. I know these white people do not like you, black man.
Look, you know what? Even my boss, I have seen my boss go in on folks.
They're like, damn, we don't want him to fucking sue us. We don't want him to file a
let me knock on wood when I tell it. Let me knock on wood when I say this, because shit, he could come in there tomorrow and be like, look here, darky. No, but the thing about it is, I've seen him go in and I'm sitting back looking like, ooh, ain't no way in the world he could talk to me that way, because just ain't gonna happen. I'll gather all my shit and leave. But whenever it's me, it's like he be soft shoeing. And
what industry are you in? You don't have to say where you work, but what industry are you in?
I design homes, backyards, and pools, and outdoor living space.
So you're like in the hella white boy world. Okay.
Oh my goodness! I can go months without seeing a brother or sister.
And like the entitled, probably more wealthier of the white boys in the Dallas area, I would imagine. Yeah. Okay.
So when I and I've made my fair share of mistakes, believe me.
Right.
But it's never it's never that way on me. It never comes back that harshly on me. We've had our little, we're cool, and that's it. But I've seen him go in on some people where I'd be like, it ain't no way this could have ever been me.
Well, they know who they can and can't fuck with.
Exactly.
I mean, that's just gonna be.
Yeah.
Leave me the fuck alone.
Yeah. So
okay, I got a few more things I want to jump to before we finish. We got a good 20 minutes.
Okay, you got some.
So let me go here. So this other post Nikki put up. At first, I thought it said Nikita Jones, but it's Nikki Davis. Now,
Karen
Whatever.
Davis.
Whatever. Depends on where I am.
So the quick little clip of boy swinging on a pole.
Oh, I was so hoping you was going to talk about
I
that.
I did not. See,
go check the page.
Let me check this out real quick.
And I was hoping, okay,
and
you watched the video.
Too.
This is very quick. You watched the video. And if I had more time, I would have uploaded it. So
he been following instructions. His mama. We
account.
know what his mama do for a living. There ain't even no question about it.
They got she had the little bumper pad on the bottom and everything. Just in the event, make sure that her body was all right.
That's right.
She hit that ground. So you and I obviously have a different stance on this, which honestly kind of surprised me. I was a little surprised to see you like, what's the problem? I just
what's your stance?
So I have to go back so many different layers because one, I do not support shaming sex workers of any sort. And I'm not going to say that like stripper equals sex, but in the industry in which, the body is used as a sensual object, to garner a certain type of energy, sex work. So I don't advocate at all. Like I am completely not with the shits for people who want to shame sex workers. So I don't give a fuck if a woman or a man for that matter wants to do adult entertainment and be a stripper. Like badass. If I had a great body, I want to fucking be a stripper too. So I'm not knocking the hustle. I'm not jealous either at the same time. I don't want to sexualize things that don't need to be sexualized, but we live in a society where everything is sexualized. And not only is everything sexualized, we and our children there's such an agenda to desensitize us to sexualization of things so that we justify shit when we would not have normally justified things. So that particular post to me, I was like, I really can't even make a fucking statement because like you said in the very beginning, there's some things that a typing is not going to be able to explain why you say what you say. So I couldn't just go on there and be like, I'm not with this shit because I'm not, but I'm not with this shit because I'm shaming a woman. I'm not with this shit because I'm shaming a woman who might decide to be a stripper. I'm not with it, because this woman, maybe she's a single mom and she's got to do whatever she has to do. So, like, I'm not with it for any of those reasons. I'm not knocking any of that. I'm just not with a little kid being so much in a grown adult's business that he knows exactly how to hop on that pole and swing in a circle and put his goddamn feet in the air. People say, well, if it was a fireman's pole this, or if he was on the monkey bars, and I get all that, I do. But they weren't. They weren't.
It was just a pole.
That's it.
It was a stripper pole.
It was a pole.
It was a stripper pole.
It's a pole. If the stripper ain't on the pole, it ain't a stripper. It don't become a stripper pole until
you're right, but
you got a thong on.
You're right.
Hang on.
The object itself is used for blah. And so therefore, this is what that is.
I used to have one in my room back in the day, but I never swung on it.
Yeah, whatever.
and it's not.
It was for them overnight visits.
She's gonna say whatever. I never swung on it.
You did like one little swing, just one time, just to see if you could.
You see my big ass on that pole. With my feet up in the air.
12 for me once, Big Daddy.
When you could get them up there.
With some socks on. That's it. Man, no. But yeah, I understand what you're saying, Nikki. It's Q says it's a pole. That's a stripper pole.
If I saw a little boy swinging around a motherfucking stop sign pole like that, I'd be like, oh, baby, his mama definitely swinging around some poles. He knew exactly what to do when the pole presented itself.
It could be.
So,
but him swinging around on the stop sign don't make it a stripper stop sign.
That's why I said what I said. I'm not with that shit at all. I'm not with the sexualization.
Now for stripping in a G-string, swinging on the stop sign, then
I'm not with the demasculinization of men. I'm not with the demasculinization of black men. I don't think that children should be in grown folks' business. Like if that's what you want to do,
I'm not
fine.
Either. Yeah. But I think there's a until the outfit and the costume is accompanied with the pole, then I don't associate it. Now, if the little boy had some platform shoes on with some booty shorts or something, now the conversation changed for me.
Why?
But it's just a regular kid in some pajamas.
Why does it change then?
Because, like I said, the costume is what makes it more than just a pole. That's what makes it a stripper pole. The stripper on the pole or the pole in the strip club makes it a stripper pole. Outside of that, if there ain't no stripper on the pole or you ain't in the strip club, it's just a pole.
If the pole been stripped on, it's a stripper pole.
Okay.
If the pole been stripped on,
long as it's been sanitized down, and once they spray it and wipe it
So
down,
somebody say, coming to center stage.
You know what I'm saying?
Center stage. That make it a stripper pole.
Yeah, I just,
If the DJ sound like every DJ in the strip
right.
clubs.
Even if you were at the park,
hey,
you
coming
saw
to
a
the
little
stage,
kid,
right?
Diamond.
That's a stripper pole.
If you was at the park and you saw a little boy or a little girl, we'll go with little boy in this particular conversation because that's what the image was. But if you were at the park and you saw a little boy swing on a pole like that,
I'd be like, you know,
my response is going to be the same. Like,
it just be like,
why are you in the grown folks' business in that manner so that you know as a child how to hop up on there and what you're supposed to do?
Maybe he just real athletic as a 3-year-old.
You know what your mama do?
Look, when we were little, we used to go to the stop signs and try to hang sideways. You remember that? Remember you would like put the one hand on the bottom and you try to prop yourself up and hold with the top hand? It's one thing to like try to like swing your whole body parallel, you know what I'm saying? Like horizontally. This not, no, baby. He put his feet in the air, booty down low, and said, "Wee."
Look, I literally, Nikki,
I
if you watch men's gymnastics, they do the exact same thing on the floor exercise, where they do that straddling and then they do the swinging with their legs in the air. It's.
Well,
I mean this is a case where I do think that we are over sexualizing something that doesn't need to be, especially since he's not wearing anything that's sexual.
Right. But are we, or are we just used to having to?
No. Because I ain't used to none of this stuff. But I'm just saying in this instance, now I used to be a king of the monkey bars. That's what I'm telling you. Like, look, I didn't have a stripper pole, but I had a pole like that went sideways that I did pull-ups on.
Right.
A pole is a pole. Now, that same pole that I did pull-ups on, a woman in the G-string could grab it, turn upside down, and do splits upside down.
And then it becomes a sideways stripper pole.
And if that became the norm, then that would be a problem. If that became the norm, that would be a problem.
That's what I'm just,
Wow.
That's
yeah.
I can't put more into that than it was.
Yeah, I didn't like it. Because for me, it wasn't just a little boy on the pole. It was all the other things behind that I feel like is happening or that we see over and over and over and over and over. Now, people feeling like they have to be forced to kind of be okay with some shit that their first initial reaction might not be okay, but they feel like, oh, damn, if I say that I don't like it, like now I'm homophobic or now I'm sex shaming or now I'm this or that. And
so with me, this is where I start drawing the line. Number one, what little kids wear.
Right.
I don't like when they hypersexualize what little kids wear.
Right.
Dancing is the thing for me too. Now this gets close to it because but like I said, I can see these same type of moves done by gymnastic people. Like literally, that's the first thing. Well, that's the second thing it reminded me of. First thing you already know. But when you hypersexualize people, especially when you do a lot of gyrating using your pelvic area and stuff like that, that's like kids like what? I think that's too early for them. But in this case, I didn't. That's not what I got. And this is the other thing for me. What some people who hypersexualize everything, then my question becomes like, why? Like, why is that the first place that your mind goes? Like, even we had a conversation.
True.
Like last year sometime where I think a girl was sitting on her father's lap like on a swing or something like that, and they were like, I don't know, that's just too much. I'm like, ain't nothing wrong with that.
Right.
But it's like now you got to ask yourself in your mind, why are you over sexualizing stuff?
Right.
And then one of my friends actually admitted, like, yeah, I had some stuff in my childhood. I'm probably just triggered by it.
Mm-hmm.
But that don't make it over sexual. That just means that you may have some triggers when it comes to this stuff.
Right. You're hypersensitive. And hypersensitive isn't even the right word to use because it's not a bad thing to be aware of. Me. But
you can be aware of it, but sometimes when we just try to make too much out of stuff that ain't is. Now for me, I'm not saying, oh, you just reaching on that. I ain't gonna say you reaching. I'm just saying I have just for me, my perspective is let me say, I wouldn't have had my legs straddled open like that. But if I had a pole like that when I was anywhere from 3 up to probably 12 years old, I would have been swinging all over the place on it. Because I'm an exorcist. I'm like, oh, we got a singular monkey bar in our house.
We got one. We got a monkey bar, literally
With-
one bar.
with a landing pad at the bottom.
With
It's
a
all fun.
landing pad at the
We got a
bottom.
monkey bar in our house. We can come play.
Oh my gosh.
Oh my goodness.
Oh, that's just
That's
where I'm
funny.
coming from.
But it's interesting to see how something as simple as, what's simple to you, to the next person. There was a lot of conversation. There were people who felt some type of way. And there was more men who felt some type of way about that than females. It seemed like most women were pretty much okay with that and, didn't seem to make it
See, I looked at it from the
too much
standpoint
of
of
a
him
big
being.
deal.
I'm sorry.
No, go
I
ahead.
looked at it from the standpoint of him being 3 years old or whatever in his little pajamas and his socks
Right.
and just playing on the pole. But
Right.
I do
What if he was 8?
understand. I would still probably be like, yeah, he's just a kid, But in the house, that's where his mama practiced. And I know in the back of my mind, I'm a grown ass man. I know in the back of my mind, I know what that is. His mama practicing for work or whatever. And I'm not. And if he want to swing on the pole, that's fine,
Right.
But it is what it is. The pole is what it is. It's a stripper pole. Yeah, nothing.
Yeah, I didn't care for that when I saw it. And that's just me. And I had to kind of explore in me, why did that bother me? And all the reasons I gave. Just the I like it.
You
I
feel
like
some type of way about that pole.
I did. But it was multiple different things. It wasn't just like this visual of a little boy swinging around a pole. It actually wasn't any of that, really at all.
Was it that you knew what that pole really was?
It was for me more that that he
Presentation.
knows what it is, that he knows it's a stripper
Right,
pole,
okay,
that he knows this is what it's designed for, that he himself was exposed to that.
Right.
Fine, if that's what you want to do as his mama, that's cool, knock yourself out. But do we have to expose our children to everything? And stripping can be obviously for a variety of different reasons. Being an exotic dancer, being a new
Teaching him
entertainer.
clearly.
Yeah. So
He had it down.
Yeah, but at the same time, I also don't want to fucking body shame either. I don't want to so in trying to be not even politically correct, but just humanly correct by her being able to choose what it is that she wants to do or why she's doing what she's doing or whatever the case may be. But just the fact that it is used for sexual purposes, it is used to excite certain senses, for both men and women, and that this little boy is being exposed to that. For me, that's my bigger problem. And it wouldn't be any better if it was a girl. I'd be just as bothered if it was a little girl swinging around that pole than it was a little boy.
Right.
So just exposing your kids to shit that they don't need to be exposed to. But at the same time, I'm not also trying to knock this woman. So it's how can you have a position on both sides? You can't make you definitely can't make everybody happy.
You can. It's just like we're talking.
Is the home pole a gateway drug?
Stop.
I mean, the bottle of liquor at the house is so shit. That's the first place your kid's gonna get it is the liquor bottle at home. So I don't know.
Yeah.
I don't know.
The argument could be, with knowledge and exposure, it keeps you from running into something the wrong way. I asked my son, you want something to drink? He was like, no. My son don't. I got liquor in the house. My son don't want it. He's like, nah.
Right.
No, I'm fine. I don't want it.
Well, but you also probably have conversations about stuff like that, though, too.
Right.
Those types of things require conversations. Right. Otherwise, you are going to have a kid who grows up to steal your money and steals your liquor and steals your pills and does shit like that. But so yes, it can be used as a conversation piece and a teaching piece with your children too. But I feel some type of way. I have a problem when people say things about their children are sexy. Oh, look, she got the little sexy dress on. Or, oh, she looks so sexy in her pretty little this. And I'm just like, why?
Yeah.
Of all the words you can choose to describe your baby with, why would you use sexy?
She's not supposed to be.
But a lot of people are okay with that. And that's so gross to me.
Yeah, that's gross to me. I ain't gonna lie about that. Referring to a child as sexy.
Boy do that. I was like, this is not cute for a child to be sexualizing himself, and he might not even know what the fuck he's doing.
let me throw this out there then. We've all seen the picture of is it Ivanka Trump? What's the daughter's name? Ivanka sitting on Donald's lap back in the 80s.
Yes.
To me, I saw that as a sex. She was like 14.
She was like a teenager. She looked
13 or 14.
Yeah, she looked like she was like maybe 14ish at the most.
But it was just the way. Look,
it could be the way. I'm just saying, I can easily see my daughter sitting on my lap when she's 14.
But see, the thing
but
about
then
that
to learn what you've learned about this salacious,
right?
I think that has more to do with it.
And if you sitting up there with your legs all gapped open and your daughter sitting right in between them hoes,
yeah. But I think his history, fills in the gaps on what.
Yeah, he was probably that uncle that
Creepy
people told their daughters, don't go over there with Uncle Donald. Don't what I'm saying? Don't sit on Uncle Donald's lap. Like, that's fucking gross.
Yeah, he's disgusting.
Yeah.
And that picture in my mind, I mean, immediately when I saw it, I was like,
And not even just that, it's just the way he talk about her sometimes. I'd be like,
Yes.
Well, didn't he also say somewhere, like, if it wasn't his daughter, he would try to
just
Howard Stern.
Like,
it was on
Howard
Stern. Howard Stern said that. I was like, what the hell?
That's so gross. Like, ew.
So okay, I'm looking at the picture.
Thinking?
I'm looking at the picture. That the picture by itself, without all the other information in there, don't nothing look wrong with that picture to me.
The one where he wearing the blue tip shoes.
I don't know, but no, he like in some white.
Looking like he's in Playboy Mansion.
Yeah, that's
with your daughter.
Oh, see, now if he got multiple pictures, I don't know. He just got this white hat on, white shirt, white pants, and she got some blue jeans and a shirt on.
Yeah, he looks like he just got off the boat doing coke.
Let
or
me
some
find
shit.
this Donald Trump picture.
That don't look like.
I'm pretty sure it's
me.
the same one, but it just again as you come to learn more about him, then you just see how like gross and oogie that was for him as a person.
Hold on, now this oh my god, now this one.
That may be the one I'm thinking of.
You looking at the one? Yeah, he in the blue jacket, and she basically like
them shoes got some blue tips on them. His shoes. I don't know if that's the one you need to be looking out for.
So I'm gonna need y'all to post those pictures to the freethinkers page. I ain't posting that. What you talking about?
I'm not getting my page blocked.
Oh, my device is dead right now. He said, "Nah, I'm not trying to go to jail."
I don't even, that's see, the first one I saw wasn't nothing, but that's that's all right. I ain't need to see that.
No. Or did you?
Nope, I didn't need to see that.
Yeah.
Okay, what time is it? It's 9:26. Let me see what we got. Do we got 5? Okay, this last one. Let's touch this real quick. Did you see the one that Stacey Shea put up yesterday talking about the truth about like as far as gender when the guy was speaking to
on the Dr. Phil show?
Yes, on the Dr. Phil show.
I posted that last week too. So there's a whole nother conversation that we've addressed that post too. So yes, I did see it. Stokely, did you get a chance to see it?
No, see.
Oh,
so man. For those who didn't see it, it was a guy. I don't know who the guy was talking about it, but basically he was just saying we can't rewrite the rules just because you want to be called a woman. Biologically, you are not a woman, and if DNA 100 years from now can science calls you something. So even 100 years when ain't nothing left but you've been dead 100 years, just bones, they can scrape your DNA and see what you were. So it's like, how do you just automatically get to say what you are? What is the definition of a woman if we're not going scientifically? How do we define it?
Well, that's why I'm always very cautious personally when I have this conversation about transgender women is the difference between female and woman. Because female is the sex in which you are born and classified as by chromosome. And women, that may be what you identify as. You know, now Terry had made a comment in one of those posts about how women should be offended. And I didn't feel like typing about that in the post, but I was like, I'll address it if we talk about it. I personally am not.
I saw one of those where a woman was talking about that. Like, y'all trying to strip our womanhood away from us by we can't even identify.
Jules feels pretty heavily about that. You know, she definitely has an issue with male-born women identifying themselves as women because there are, you know, traditional women things that something as simple as like the sign on, like, so, you know, like women have a brand of tampons and pads called Always or Tampax or one of the two. Like one of those brands a couple years ago decided to remove some of their imagery or some of their packaging that was catered to women because of male born women. They
don't even need that.
Yeah.
Or you have women, you have men who were born female, so you have a transgender woman now. You have a transgender woman, a transgender man now. So you have a woman who was born a woman what's the word I'm looking for?
I don't know.
Who becomes a man. So she still bleeds because she's a woman.
Okay.
But so you have this man going to the store buying tampons and pads and feeling some type of way because it caters to women.
Why? I buy tampons and pads. What's the problem? It's too much. I said I buy tampons and pads.
So I just use it as an example as one of the things that I know personally, because I know Jules personally, that she feels like womanhood, you know, femalehood, I guess maybe more is what we're going to go scientifically, right? So femalehood, womanhood is being stripped from us to cater to men who want to be women, or women who no longer want to be women anymore. They want to be identified as men. So back to the case in point about feeling some, just feeling some type of way.
Women versus female. So does a transgender woman have the right to identify as female? I like how you differentiate.
No, I don't think that you do.
Wait, say that again because I missed something.
Does a transgender woman have the right to identify as a female?
No, because by sex and genetics, you're not. Now, this is where you can enter in the conversation of there being 6 potential other sex chromosome categories too.
I think people stretching on that, but go ahead.
Be that as it may, you know, I at least want to acknowledge that, you know, I do understand that conversation takes place. But you've got, what is it, XY and XX, right? Is that what it is? XX and XY. So no, you can't call yourself a female if you literally don't have female DNA genetics. You can call yourself a woman. And so back to what I was saying about being offended, like I'm not offended by this. This doesn't bother me per se. Like I don't feel like men are appropriating women's culture. Like I personally am not bothered by that. And maybe that's because I don't feel like my liberties have been taken from men away from me. Now, let's say the day that they do, you're probably going to see a whole other me. But
keep giving them inches. It's already turning in the feet. It's going to be some yards in a second. It's coming down your alley. I don't know why you think it ain't going to.
I don't think that it's not. I guess it's just not something that's like personally affected me at this particular point in my life. Like I'm still all the way woman and I'm all the way female. Like both of those things, there's no confusion about that. But the thing I liked about that video was that the guy that was interviewing the transgender woman. He didn't back off of why he felt the way he felt. He was like, so basically, I can identify as anything. You know, at the Smack and I were talking about this yesterday. And he's like, so I can identify as an adjective, and you have to call me this because this is what I identify as. I identify as a very handsome person, as a very beautiful person. So you have to call me that because that's what I identify as. I know this is a little bit of a stretch, but there was an article out in the news in the last month or so. I want to say it was in Laredo or somewhere out like West Texas. There was a school that like had to have this big old huge ass like conversation. I don't know if it's a school district thing or like a school board for a certain school, but like it was issues with children identifying as animals. I think they called them Furbies or some shit or fur somethings.
Oh, Joe, that's your fault, Nikki. You keep letting that stuff
slide. I'm pretty sure it's definitely my people's people.
I ain't even saying your people. I ain't even going to your people.
And it is.
It is, but that wasn't my point. My point is, hold on. My point is, people
to school, like they fucking walked on 4s, like they wanted to be addressed as animals and pets, and the school is like, we are not doing this, nor are we going to create like these safe spaces for y'all,
Thank
because
you.
they wanted like safe spaces in the cafeteria and shit like this to like be animals.
Somebody said enough is enough. Praise God for Texas every once in a while. That's why you need some Republicans every once in a while. Jesus.
I said every once in a while. Throw a thumper in there.
Like, hold on, stop it.
But I personally am okay with you do whatever it is that you want to do, right? Like, but at the same time, I do understand.
See that mindset. That's what I'm saying. That is the mindset that has kids thinking that they're gonna be animals. If you don't say nothing up front, then you just you keep. That's
You'll
where
get your ass up off the ground like you acting a damn fool. Now that's me. That's my get your ass up.
I mean, I'm not going to let my kids fucking do it because
son,
we're just not finna do that.
Daughter,
like, no, we're
if
not
we
doing
want
that.
to pretend like what's your favorite animal, we can pretend. And after we're done pretending, we go back to being humans. We did that back in the day.
Right.
We don't have to.
Right.
No, I'm permanently a cheetah.
Like I'm
see,
forever.
See,
I'm
that's
forever
the problem.
relevant.
That's the
Let
problem.
me say this was my issue with that piece right there. And I said this on the thread. I wish it was a good argument that the guy, very good argument, but I wish they would have had a stronger debater up against him. Right. Anybody can sound super good and they sound like they're making 100% sense when you're going up against somebody who's not that strong in debate. Mm-hmm. And I've seen that often. That's one of my minor pet peeves, not super strong, but it is one of my pet peeves. You'll have someone very articulate and very well versed in the art of debate. Yeah. And even this, you'll find them in like an atheist, and they'll find the most newborn baby Christian who don't know how to put two verses together and have them fumbling all over everything they saying. It's like, why don't you go up against somebody who actually does this versus picking on someone who ain't really, because debate, it's an art to debate.
It definitely is.
So I'm like, you ain't gonna go up against William Craig or D'Souza or people who actually do this for a living and actually are prepared for your arguments and know how to counteract them. Right. So that's why he beat up on them a little bit because they weren't at that debate type level. I'd rather see you go up against somebody who's stronger in debate. And so then even Doc Deuce asked me, because what did he say? He said, what definition for woman would you expect a more knowledgeable person to provide? And I'm like, you don't even have to go on that. Like even what I would have did. How does the average person define a woman? See, these are the questions that I would have asked the guy. Right. Even kind of what Nikki was talking about. How does the average person define a woman? Who actually looks up DNA to define if somebody's a woman or not? Usually it goes surface level against the eye. So you telling me about all this, what DNA says, this and this and that. Are you going around looking under people's pants to decide whether you call them a man or a woman? Right. So that's what I'm saying. There's different elements to it, and that's really why I like what you said, Nikki. Maybe we just need to differentiate between a woman and a female.
And we do. I think it's critical because they're not the same thing. And people
the same way you say I have no right to call you this. If Stokely introduced himself and he said, hi, my name is Dr. Scott. I ain't went to his school. I don't see nothing on his wall of this and this and that. I'll go off the strength of what he said. If he called himself Dr. Scott, then I'm gonna call him Dr. Scott. I don't know the difference.
Right.
And that's the way most people operate.
Right.
And for you to try to put all of this, say we have to present all of this evidence before we can call someone a woman. Well, if you look like a woman, I'll call you a woman.
Right.
If you look like you white, I might call you white. You look like you're black. I don't care what you identify as. I'm a identify at surface level. Right. But I think it's an unfair argument to just try to use a scientific method to say what we can and cannot call you because my eyes are going to make that judgment first. That's the argument that I would have said versus, but they kind of got stuck up on what he was saying and they got tripped up. But that's what I'm saying. They weren't strong debaters.
Right.
And I ain't even saying I agree with it. I'm just saying that would have been my argument.
Do either of you guys listen to John Fugelsang?
No.
He's excellent. So speaking of debate, he went up. You know who Jesse Lee Peterson is? Black dude.
I like Jesse Lee Peterson.
Dude, I
love him. I'm gonna tell you about. Go ahead.
Me and him had words a few times, and he don't like me, and I don't like him. But he and John Fugelsang had a debate, and John Fugelsang, very, very smart. Jesse Lee Peterson called him onto his podcast or whatever the heck it was, and in an auditorium with Jesse Lee Peterson's people, and you could tell the crowd was Jesse Lee Peterson people. But John Fugelsang ate him up, and it was just because, like you said earlier, Q, when you have someone who is strong and articulate up against someone who stumbles and bumbles and crumbles through the conversation, the optics of it looked bad because John Fugelsang was just speaking the truth, and Jesse couldn't come back, had no response, and it looked bad.
I thought I had that muted. No, that's all me. That's my fault. Sorry.
I just muted one of them, so you can. I don't know which one you keeping. Okay, you good.
Sorry.
No
You got
problem.
all them cameras like that around?
Well, let me tell you why I love.
find devices in my house because my shit cut off on me. Wait a minute, I just got put in Facebook jail? What?
What'd you do?
Oh no, my daughter went to Facebook jail. Never mind, I'm on her laptop.
It's a family. It's a family business.
Criminals. I was getting ready to say, Mickey, I'll be out in 10 days, in 9 days.
Yeah.
It's a family business.
Man.
Oh my goodness, she'll be back in a second. Okay. Let me tell you why I can't go as far as love. I like Borderline.
Oh.
Love Jesse Lee Peterson. Now let me tell you, I understand. He be cooning at this. That's cooning at his finest.
Who, this Jesse guy?
Yes, it's Jesse Lee Peterson.
Okay.
Oh my, he's the biggest coon that you'd ever see in your life. And you say, well, you want to call somebody? He's the if there was a picture to coon, he'd be
he's a king. Yeah.
Damn, really?
Oh man.
No, he's
Okay.
smart though. He's smart. He's super smart, and he does that on purpose. Let me tell you why I know he does that on purpose. Number one, you know the real coons on the either the coons on Fox or other places like that.
Yeah.
What they try to do, this is the same thing I was talking about. They will find the dumbest, inarticulate people who don't know how to fight back. They'll bring them on their show. They'll dominate them, talk down on them, take up all the talk time, and then just dominate the conversation. You pay attention to Jesse. Jesse don't bring dummies on his show.
Right.
He brings very articulate, well knowledgeable people who understand, and he will ask the dumb questions that white people like to ask, and white people actually think that he's championing them.
Right.
But he get on there, he gets smart people on there, and he let them talk. He'll ask the stupid, borderline racist questions, but he'll let them counteract those things, and he let them talk and get it all out. So really, he's allowing his guests to really spit game to his audience, and they don't really realize what he's doing.
I get that. I get that part of him. I truly do.
He borderline genius. I'm like, it's smart. Because you know what? Real people, they don't like bringing other smart people on there.
That's true.
They don't bring smart people on. He brings very intelligent people on.
John Fugelsang is, if you don't get a chance to listen to him, I mean, you can go on YouTube and pull him up and
drop their podcast or drop their stuff in the Freethinkers group, because I've never heard of this John guy.
Oh, man,
I haven't either. I just looked them up, but
he's a comedian.
With Jesse Lee Peterson, it's gonna take you about 3 or 4 episodes for you.
Jesse Lee.
Okay.
I know that's what he's doing, but it's like you said, to the point of it's almost over cooning for me. He's
definitely over cooning,
and that's the part of it that bothers me. It's to the point. It is.
But that's what I was paying attention to. I said, but look at the people that he's bringing on his show. Yeah. He's bringing people who got real knowledge, got real understanding, and who can really counteract his dumb points. We're the man in the fallen state, and the white man ain't never did nothing to us. We just got to do it.
I think he got some learning
disabilities. After he say that dumb stuff,
yeah,
I don't think so. After he say that dumb stuff, he let them guests correct them, and he let them drop knowledge, and he'll let them bring up history, and he let them go in there. The average, them other people who really be cooning, they don't let you do that. They try to overtalk you as soon as you start talking the real stuff.
Right. That's God dog it. It just escaped me. If you go on YouTube and pull up John Fugelsang,
Yeah, I see him right now. I ain't got his video.
Sitting on stage with Jesse Lee Peterson. That's a good one. That's a good one to like sit there and listen to. And like I said, John Fugelsang is brilliant. Brilliant dude. So, but the debate, it looked bad. The optics looked bad because John was beating him like a rented mule. It appeared, But yeah, it's good stuff though, man.
Yeah, no, he's Jesse Lee. He's not to be.
Oh.
You gotta look at him with a certain eye to admire him. But it ain't nobody you want to champion. Be like, present him in front of people like this our champion. No.
Right? No.
He doing some undercover dirty work.
Oh,
He getting his money off of it at the same time.
Yeah, and he is getting paid for doing what he does.
Yeah,
that's the crazy thing.
No, I rock with Jesse Lee. That's amazing. Amazing.
You sound just like him. God, you didn't listen to him too much. God.
All right, well, we at time. We at 9:45. We can close up. Good conversations. Anybody got any last words, last thoughts?
No, I don't think so. Just send us your topic ideas though. We like I said, we've said before, we run out of ideas sometimes. So send us your topic ideas that you want us to see us talk about. Follow the Facebook page, follow the YouTube channel if you haven't already. Hit the share button, invite people to the page, promote your business, promote your events on our page. You can always drop your stuff over on the Facebook Freethinkers page, and you never know who's networking over there. I mean, a lot of people have met a lot of great connections just being on that page. We've got a lot of good conversations still over there on that page now. If you want to reference any of the things that we've talked about tonight, it's all posted on the Facebook Freethinkers page. So all of these comments or all of these posts that we've talked about tonight, there's a slew of comments in each of those posts. So, other ways you can engage. You just got to see what other people's thoughts are. But no, that's pretty much all I got for tonight. Nothing too much. It's March 1st. Spring break is coming up, thankfully,
I'm so ready.
I know what they say, the sun will start going down at 8 o'clock again, so we get like a whole full day again. I'm so looking forward to that.
Yeah.
That's it. That's all I got.
Keep posting on the page as well. Just like you post on that gives us something to talk about even later on down the road.
And there's a lot of really good conversations on there right now. There's some polygamy conversations, open relationship conversations, or some transgender conversations. There's Kanye conversations. There's everything conversations. We don't just do relationships. We don't just do conspiracy. We don't just do religious stuff. Like we do everything. So send us some topic ideas and check the page, contribute. And then we'll be back next Tuesday, 8:05 live.
That clip I reposted because I gotta see that again because
it's on Freethinkers.
Is it on there? Okay.
Yeah, it's on the Freethinkers page. The white supremacy one.
The broadcast.
Oh yeah. Oh my goodness.
Yeah. I'm gonna check that out once we get off because I hit play and then I did not finish it.
Real time. It was crazy. I was like, I'm gonna apologize. I got to use my words carefully here. I was like. And then he just go all the way in. I'm like, well, damn, you didn't think about that.
I ain't talk about that Idris Elba one. I got it, so we got to talk about that next time too.
Oh, the chocolate thing.
Yeah.
Okay.
We can talk about that another time. All right. Before we get started up all over again.
All right. Good night, y'all. Good night, y'all. Thanks for sharing. Thanks for everybody who's watched. Thanks for those that watch in the future. Hit the share button, follow our pages, and we will see you next Tuesday, 8:05 live. Good night, y'all.